When you think of Greenland, what comes to mind? Perhaps it's an enormous icy landmass sitting between North America and Europe, shrouded in cold and mystery. Maybe you've heard of its tiny population, or how the name Greenland was actually a marketing scheme by Viking explorer Eric the Red to make the frigid island sound appealing to settlers. Despite being the world's largest island, Greenland remains one of the least populated places on Earth. Its rugged terrain, harsh climate, and isolation make it a challenging place to call home. Yet it still boasts a population of around 57,000 people. But why has this vast land remained so empty while other harsh environments have been populated? The answer isn't just about the ice. It's a combination of geography, climate, infrastructure, and history. In this video, we'll explore why nobody really lives in Greenland and why even today it remains one of the most sparsely inhabited places on the planet. Greenland's immense size and harsh climate. Greenland is massive, covering about 2.17 million square kilometers, making it the largest island in the world that isn't a continent. To put that into perspective, it's roughly a third of the size of Australia. But despite its enormous landmass, it has an incredibly low population density, with just 0.03 people per square kilometer. That's because Greenland is largely uninhabitable. Nearly 80% of Greenland is covered by a permanent ice sheet, one of only 2 ice sheets on Earth, the other being Antarctica's. This means that most of the island is nothing but frozen, barren wasteland. The ice sheet is over 2 kilometers thick on average, and in some places it reaches more than 3 kilometers. The cold is relentless, with winter temperatures plunging well below freezing, while even in the summer, large parts of the island struggle to reach above 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. But it's not just the ice and cold that make Greenland difficult to live in, it's the isolation that comes with it. The island's long, brutal winters are compounded by extreme periods of darkness. Towns located above the Arctic Circle experience months of polar night, where the sun never rises, followed by months of midnight sun, where it never sets. This extreme light cycle can take a toll on human psychology, with seasonal depression and insomnia being common issues for those who live there. Greenland's terrain is equally unforgiving. Most of the land outside of the coastal settlements is impassable, making travel between towns incredibly difficult. There are no roads connecting Greenland's cities and villages, meaning that to get from one place to another, you have to rely on boats, helicopters, or airplanes. This remoteness makes Greenland one of the most challenging places in the world to develop modern infrastructure. A small and isolated population. Given Greenland's harsh conditions, it's not surprising that its population is so small. About 57,000 people live on the island, and nearly a third of them reside in the capital, Nuuk. Nuuk is Greenland's largest city, yet its population of around 19,000 people makes it one of the smallest capitals in the world. The rest of the population is scattered across small towns and villages, mainly along the west coast, where the climate is slightly more hospitable. Most Greenlanders are of Inuit descent, with their ancestors having migrated from Canada's Arctic regions around 1,000 years ago. They adapted to life in one of the coldest places on Earth, developing skills in hunting, fishing, and dog sledding. Even today, many people in Greenland rely on fishing as their main livelihood, with fish and shrimp exports making up the bulk of the island's economy. Despite being ruled by Denmark for over 250 years, Greenland's population remains predominantly Inuit. Roughly 90% of Greenlanders are of Inuit ancestry, while the remaining 10% are mostly of Danish descent. Though Greenland is technically part of the Kingdom of Denmark, it has been moving toward greater autonomy in recent decades, with many younger Greenlanders embracing their native culture over European influences. While Greenland has a unique and vibrant culture, the challenges of living there are significant. The population is aging, and younger generations are increasingly choosing to leave the island in search of better job opportunities and a more comfortable lifestyle. Since 2000, Greenland's birth rate has fallen below replacement levels, and experts predict a decline in the working-age population over the next 2 decades. Greenland's lack of infrastructure and connectivity. One of the biggest reasons Greenland remains so sparsely populated is its lack of infrastructure. Unlike most countries, Greenland has no highway system connecting its cities and towns. Instead, transportation is primarily by air, sea, or in some cases, snowmobiles and dog sleds. This lack of connectivity makes it difficult for people to move freely and for goods to be transported efficiently. Traveling between towns often requires taking expensive flights, which are not always available due to unpredictable weather conditions. There are only a few airports in the country, with most flights departing from Nuuk or Kangerlussuaq, a former U.S. military base that now serves as the main international gateway to Greenland. The country's extreme weather makes air travel unreliable, with frequent delays and cancellations. Because of Greenland's remoteness, many essential goods have to be imported from Denmark or other countries, making everyday items significantly more expensive. Food, fuel, and building materials all have to be shipped in, leading to a high cost of living. Even basic infrastructure, such as hospitals and schools, is concentrated in Nuuk, meaning that people in smaller towns have limited access to medical care and education. Why people still live in Greenland? Despite all of these challenges, people do live in Greenland, and many of them wouldn't trade it for anything. The island's stunning landscapes, untouched wilderness, and close-knit communities make it a unique place to call home. Greenland is one of the best places in the world to see the northern lights, and its remote location means that light pollution is almost non-existent. Many Greenlanders take pride in their way of life, embracing traditional activities like hunting, fishing, and dogsledding. The island's small population also fosters a strong sense of community, where neighbors know each other and people look out for one another. In recent years, Greenland has been working to develop its economy through tourism, fishing, and mining. The government has also been investing in renewable energy, taking advantage of its natural resources to build hydroelectric power plants. These efforts aim to make Greenland more self-sufficient and less reliant on Denmark for financial support. For those who enjoy solitude, adventure, and a deep connection to nature, Greenland offers a way of life unlike anywhere else on Earth. But for most people, the challenges of living in such an isolated and extreme environment outweigh the benefits, which is why Greenland remains one of the least populated places in the world. The myth of Greenland's size and its misleading maps. One of the biggest misconceptions about Greenland is its size. If you've ever looked at a world map using the common Mercator projection, you've probably noticed that Greenland appears absolutely massive, almost as large as Africa. In reality, Greenland is significantly smaller than it looks on most maps. It covers around 2.17 million square kilometers, making it the 12th largest country or territory in the world, but it's far smaller than Africa, which is about 14 times larger. The reason for this distortion is the Mercator projection, a map design created in the 16th century that stretches land masses near the poles while keeping the equator relatively accurate. This exaggeration makes Greenland seem much larger than it actually is and contributes to its mystique as a massive, empty land. When viewed on a more accurate globe projection, Greenland is comparable in size to Saudi Arabia or the Democratic Republic of the Congo, rather than being the overwhelming landmass it appears to be on most maps. The distorted perception of Greenland's size has even influenced history and politics. Many people assume it has untapped vast lands for settlement or development, but in reality, the habitable areas are small and concentrated along the coasts. This also plays into why Greenland remains so sparsely populated. While it may seem like there's plenty of land, the actual usable space is extremely limited. The unique wildlife and environment of Greenland. Despite its harsh conditions, Greenland is home to a surprising variety of wildlife. The waters surrounding the island are rich with marine life, including whales, seals, and fish, which have been essential to the survival of Greenland's Inuit population for centuries. Whales such as humpback, fin, and even the elusive narwhal migrate through Greenland's waters, making it one of the best places in the world for whale watching. On land, the sparse vegetation supports a limited number of animal species. The Arctic fox, Arctic hare, and reindeer roam Greenland's tundra, while the massive musk ox, a shaggy, prehistoric-looking creature, can be found in the more remote regions. The polar bear, the apex predator of the Arctic, primarily inhabits the northern parts of Greenland, where it hunts seals on the sea ice. Greenland's birdlife is also notable, with species such as the snowy owl, gyrfalcon, and a variety of seabirds nesting along the cliffs and fjords. Puffins, with their colorful beaks, can be spotted along the coast, while ravens are one of the few birds that stay in Greenland year-round, enduring the freezing winters. One of Greenland's most spectacular natural phenomena is the Northern Lights, or Aurora Borealis. Due to its location near the Arctic Circle, Greenland offers some of the best conditions in the world to view this dazzling light show. The long, dark winters provide a perfect backdrop for the green, purple, and blue hues of the aurora, which dance across the sky in mesmerizing patterns. Greenland's environment is as extreme as it is beautiful, with icebergs the size of skyscrapers, glaciers that calve into the sea, and some of the cleanest air in the world. While the landscape is breathtaking, it is also fragile. Climate change is having a dramatic impact on Greenland, with rising temperatures causing ice sheets to melt at an accelerated rate. This has drawn global attention, as Greenland's ice sheet contains enough frozen water to raise global sea levels by over 20 feet if it were to fully melt. Despite these environmental challenges, Greenland remains one of the most pristine and untouched places on Earth, offering a glimpse into a world that few have experienced. Its unique wildlife, rugged landscapes, and stunning natural wonders make it a place like no other, though its extreme conditions continue to make it one of the most difficult places to live. Now it's time to hear from you. Would you ever consider living in Greenland, or do its extreme conditions make it an impossible place to call home? Let us know in the comments below.